Yo, round the Ecomi episode 64. We got your boys Crypto Rain and the real Randy Chavez. Woo! Let's
We're close to
go.
69.
Bitget exchange. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And
We
so
yeah.
go for Randy.
I want to say, I woke up to that this morning. I had already planned to take off work because I had to go to DMV to take care of some stuff, and then at the as soon as I woke, I was like, oh man, if I wasn't going to the DMV, I would have gone live at like 8:30, 9. But then I didn't get done with everything until before. So I was live before when you messaged.
Yeah. I jumped on your channel as well. Yeah, I was like really slack this week. I wasn't going to do a show. I was going to have like 1 week off, and then they released the Bitget exchange. I woke up early in the morning, 6 a.m. Bitget exchange been released. So I was like, all right, let's see if we can put this together. And so thank you, Rain and Randy, for coming on like short notice. Really appreciate it. You guys are like sort of the rocks for the Surround the Comiverse show, so really appreciate it. We got some nice comments here. Veve March update as well. Randy, you're just going over that. What was some of the highlights that you liked from that?
Sure. So one of the highlights is that they're going and they're saying, hey, we're making it now the top 1% of users are only going to be master collectors. I don't know how many of those are going to be there. Figure if we have 17,000 monthly active users. Times that 17,000. So there's only 170 people that are actually going to have that. That's not a lot at all. But that's out of the monthly active users. I guess that's not including the actual tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of more users that have remained dormant. I'm not sure how to go and calculate that. It is getting harder because you used to be able to get 650 points for every 10 million OMI, or for 10 million OMI that you had there. But now 10 million OMI only gets you 550 points, meaning that a lot more people are putting their OMI on the app in hopes of whatever things are to come. They did take special care to mention that there is going to be more that you're going to be able to use your MCP points for, but they didn't go into specificity on it. They just said that, okay, we're going to get these and it'll be released as soon as possible.
Awesome. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's we needed a win. The OMI homies needed a win. And so this is, it's a good step in the right direction. If you read Foster's post on X, he wrote a really nice post about that saying, this is just sort of like the first of many. And it's, it's something, a step in the right direction. We're getting towards what we want. And Rain, what are your thoughts on today's news?
Well, I have a bunch of thoughts on this subject. Like, me, I'm never opinionated or anything. But like, okay, another exchange came out. Like, cool, it's a big deal, and it's not a big deal at all. I remember people getting so mad that's like, oh, we'll never do good unless another exchange happens. And the exchange comes out and the price doesn't really change. And that just comes from experience. I've been doing this for 7 years. Now, all of a sudden, if it got listed on Coinbase, then it would have run. And I'm glad they're getting on a few more exchanges. That's just one of the steps. But what I do is I look deeper. So a lot of the FUD, a lot of the concern is just emotion. It's just fear. It's fear of being left behind. You see the AI narrative running, the meme narrative. And so people are getting impatient, like, oh my gosh, I have all this money in OMI and it's not doing anything. And what it usually does is it shakes those people out because they see some running somewhere else and they then chase it just in time for Ecomi to finally do well. And look, I've actually done that when I was new. I've just been around for a very long time. A lot of people that are new, they get impatient. And some of it, I had some experience before even getting in crypto. So when I found myself doing that in crypto, I shouldn't have even done it. And I knew better. And yet I still did it. And I had to go through that learning curve. And there's some people in this audience probably going through that learning curve too. And they're just feeling super impatient. But behind the scenes, Ecomi is taking massive steps in the right direction. So I was thinking, like, why am I so bullish on Ecomi versus some of the other stuff out there? And I was thinking today, it's because in the crypto space, how much predictability do you have on projects? How much predictability? Like, is there a guarantee something will ever go up? There's no guarantees, but what I look for is predictability. What is the predictability that Ecomi is going to do well from here? Well, I would give it like a 96% chance or higher. And what kind of returns can you make from here? I don't know, 30 to 300x, maybe 400x if it goes absolutely crazy. So you have like a 90+% chance, if I'm correct on that. Let's just say I'm off and it's only 90% chance. And if it goes that way, you could do 30 to like 3 or 400x. I like those kind of odds. Now, some people will take their money and they're going to chase into a meme coin that's like, yes, it's another cat for Taylor Swift coin. And the other ones did well, so this is going to do well. And they don't realize the predictability on that now that's run a couple times. The predictability is about 20% chance that it will do well. And if it does well, then they'll make some gains, but only a 20% chance they'll even win on it. And yet they're throwing into those things. And it's like, cool, you do that. But I don't actually know a single person that has gotten rich playing those low probability plays like that. The wealth comes from taking more predictable ones that you then have to be patient on, because it sucks when other things run first. Like one of my coins went up 100x in the last 6 weeks. Did I see that coming? No, they were just a substantive play that was in the AI narrative that I thought at some point when AI hits again, it will do well. Okay, it went 100x. Did I know that was going to happen? No, I just hoped that it was a good narrative in the AI play and a good project. So I thought probably this will do well. Cool. Man, what if I had taken all my OMI money and thrown it into there and I could now roll it in this? Yeah, but I don't have a magic crystal ball. So like, I don't know how that's going to play out. What if OMI had run first before AI came in, right? What if the digital collectible narrative hit first? So I no longer have those unreasonable expectations that I'm going to be able to time everything perfectly. And some of that is why I diversify, because things run in different time frames, right? So now we have a new exchange, Bitget. Guess what? Ecomi's one step stronger towards where it's going. Cool. But I already see it is so substantively strong that anybody who argues with me and they say, oh, one guy on Twitter called it the OMI dump coin. And I'm just like, look, it's, I feel bad for you revealing your uneducation on crypto. And it just tells me you're new to the space. And cool, I was new to the space at one point too. But don't argue with me on this because you just look dumb. You're just, you've been in crypto like a year and a half. You think you have it figured out, just like an 18-year-old who graduates high school is like, I've got it figured out. And they don't even realize the game at all. OMI's got as high a predictability as you can find in the crypto space. It's just waiting till the digital collectibles narrative hits. And that's just a matter of time. Digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles in almost every way. There's a few ways that physical ones are superior. And so just wait till that plays out is what I'm doing. The audience, you guys clearly are here because you're probably patient too. Otherwise, you've tuned this out and you're now fighting it on Twitter and other things. Cool. Let them do them. That's fun. We'll absolutely see who wins this argument. And I know it's going to be us.
Heck yeah. Let's get this ready.
Awesome. That's creating some bullishness here. And it's a really exciting time. Like my portfolio has jumped like crazy from 1 month to this month. Man, I'm up $250,000.
That's
For
awesome.
me that's huge. I'm not quite a millionaire yet, but we're getting there. Obviously, it's only paper gains, guys, not real gains till you lock it in, right? But that's just for me. That's like the very first step. And,
but you took a big risk in that you rolled significant. You sold your business and you took a huge risk throwing that into crypto. And some people probably thought you were completely crazy. I thought, oh my gosh, your timing on this, Jordan, is beautiful. This is going to work out amazing for you, even better than you know. And it's only started to play out, right? So I'm sure you're looking at those gains. You're like, oh, baby, yes. Your wife was like, okay, my man does know what he's doing.
That's right.
The wives get worried. Yeah.
And because like it was a risk. I sold one of my Amazon brands last year and pulled out like $200,000, put it straight into crypto. And man, that's done really, really well for me so far. And I was thinking, I always think years and years out. I don't think in short term. Generally, I play a little bit of memes. I know you don't touch them, Rain, but I have just like 3% of my portfolio is in memes. Okay, 3%. 97% is in utility tokens. But what it was is I was thinking my business is making maybe that brand was making $100,000 a year, which is good money. But I was like, if I take all that and I sell it, and I can get $200,000 or $300,000 out, I can now multiply that much faster using crypto than I would have if I just let the business run, and I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to deal with all the ins
Frees
and
up
outs
time.
and I was getting, I had to get stock from China over to USA all the time on the ships. And
Yeah.
they were, sometimes they have trouble. Like during COVID, we had
Oh,
ships
especially
stocked for
now
like
too.
3 months. They couldn't get the stock off.
Pirates attacking ships. Yeah, U.S. doesn't
Yeah.
like it when you touch their boats. They get U.S. gets big mad when you touch their boats.
Yo, Osman.
Hi, Osman.
What's up, Osman?
Have you guys seen Dan Marquez recently on the? He always comments like comment and then like the rocket ships. Have you seen him comment on your stuff recently?
So who is that?
I'm not sure.
Daniel Marquez. He's always says like, "Oh, comment," and then he puts like rocket ship emojis.
No, I don't.
The fan was just wondering because he hasn't been around in a while. I haven't seen him on my streams or my videos in a while. I just wondering where he's at. Anyway, Rain. So in your past experiences being here for a couple bulls and a couple bear cycles, I know it's going to be pretty much impossible to tell because it's the first time we're getting institutional money. But Bitcoin hit an all-time high today before the halving. Ethereum might do that as well. Are your thoughts that there's a potential scenario out there where this could be a shorter bull run, a short but epic bull run? Do you think that is possible, or do you think this will likely be sustained a while longer because of that institutional investing?
It's really hard to tell. It introduces a big new variable that we don't have history on, other than what happened to the gold ETF. But so the way the gold ETF played out was in the lead up to the gold ETF, gold pumped some. When they actually announced it and approved it, it actually declined for about 10 months. And then it absolutely took off and gold's price went up 7x, which gold isn't supposed to increase in value. It's just actually supposed to be a consistent store of value. And so for it to go up 7x, either the dollar went down by like 80 some percent, which it probably went down. It probably went down by 10 or 20% over that time period. But gold 7xing, it just showed what happens when institutions can now place money in it. And you just had way more demand than you had supply. Now, the downside of gold is when gold's price 7x's, then they can deploy 5 times more resources to mine more gold because it's so valuable now, and it might double or triple the supply. Well, in Bitcoin, you have no ability to increase the supply as much money as you want to put into it. You can't increase the supply. You could increase your share by mining more, but you can't increase the supply. So we've never had a pattern like this. And so how it plays out is just like the rocket has been on the launch pad for a while, and I've been commenting on it like this rocket is going to be crazy. The rocket is blasting off and it's going further faster than I knew that there was a potential it could play out this way. I'm just shocked that it is playing out so far, so early. And so I don't know if it's going to be like interrupted, because what I know is when everyone is saying that this is the new thing and it's never going to go down from here, it's always followed by going down from here. So we'll probably overboom by a lot and then we're going to bust. But when that bust happens, I don't know. Like, we shouldn't actually be hitting this blast off till at least December, if not later. Like the big blow off top. Geez, like Bitcoin hitting 72K already before the halving. Once the halving happens, the chances are getting higher and higher. There's usually a pullback after the halving happens.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to play out, because right now there's 10 to 14 times more Bitcoin being bought every day than is actually being produced. And then that's going to get cut in half. And so it might even make the supply shortage worse right away. I think a lot of the Bitcoin miners are already selling through their stores of Bitcoin, and we don't know exactly how this plays out, other than, geez, I mean, Bitcoin looks like it wants to go to 200 or 500,000 this cycle. And then what happens to the altcoins? Well, much bigger gains, right? So that's what I'm preparing for. A shout out to all the positive comments in there. Somebody has some dark thoughts. Jack Sand says, Rain is right, but he is selective with the information he gives. He exaggerates market caps, especially for OMI, because he knows he's going to need you all for liquidity to sell his enormous bags later. Wow. So what I find in this world, we assume that people are like us. So if we have like dark motives, we assume dark motives in other people. So Jack, you're not saying very good things about yourself there. I've had lots of chances to sell my bags on my audience. One case, one was totally failing. I held more of that than anyone else, and I told all my audience to get out before I then dumped my bags. Why? Well, because Jack, you and I don't think the same, obviously. And I don't usually assume other people think that way. So, you catch me off guard when you say stuff like that, because I don't know, maybe you grew up in a really rough place in this world or a really rough part of town and everyone thinks that way. But there really is enough value in this world to help other people get what you want and really be able to get what you want. And you don't have to steal from others or screw others in order to do well. In fact, if you do, you are screwing yourself way more than you understand. So I screw myself all the time by what? Like I was telling people I was going to buy a crap ton of bumper before I bought it. Guess what that did? That drove up the price on me. It allowed my audience to front run me. Did I end up paying a higher price for the bumper because of that? I did. Did they end up getting it cheaper than I did? Yep. Cool. Why did I do that? Because I care about my audience, and my audience isn't ginormous. It's a tight little family, and I love them. And part of the value that I get is them doing well. So cool, Jack. I wish you better things. I hope you can run across some really good people in your life so you can kind of change that view, because there's no such thing as a win-lose. Because when you try to win at someone else's expense, they always find a way to make you lose too. So what seems like a win-lose will always turn into a lose-lose. Most those successful people I met in life create win-wins as often as they can, because then the people they help win, they come back around and connect them with other people. You win so much more often that way. And that's how I see the world.
I think Jack should really check out Robert Axelrod with game theory. He made something called the prisoner's dilemma in the 50s, saying like, okay, if you have two prisoners that committed a crime, if they both don't rat on each other, they get short sentences. If one person rats and the other person doesn't, the person that rats goes free, and the person that doesn't rat gets a super long sentence. And if they both rat, they both get like a medium sentence or whatever. But they basically, in the long term of the prisoner's dilemma, in the long term of game theory, if you create those win-win scenarios, that is the way to win the most. What Rain said is exactly right. So just go and Google that. I think his name was Robert Axelrod, Game Theory, Prisoner's Dilemma in the 50s. Jordan, I had a question for you. Building on Rain's premise where he said that, hey, when Bitcoin goes off to heights previously unseen by man, and you're going to have a lot of profit taking, does all of that go into OMI? No. Does half of that go into OMI? No. But does a significant minority percentage go into OMI? Yes, especially by the people that are going to, smarter money is already here. Smart money will get in soon. And then you'll have the people that are going chasing those green candles, that'll pay 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, hoping it goes to $1, because they won't really pay attention to the market cap. But eventually they'll have OMI on the app. There's more OMI on the app than ever before. All it takes right now to sweep all of the floors is maybe 500,000 in liquidity. Question for you, Jordan, is when you get some OMI on the app, or when suddenly you have found money and OMI does like a 10x in the next 6 months, are you going to sweep floors, or are you going to be like, nah?
Will I use will I use my 10 million OMI that's in Veve to buy collectibles?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I will definitely try, instead of having to put my dollars in, I'll definitely use my OMI to buy. I would probably just buy my favorite collectibles still. I don't think I'm going to be like a floor sweeper. I really see Veve as like a lot of fun. And for me, they're not really investments, even though I know they will go up. My portfolio last time Veve hit $80,000, and then it went down to like $8,000. But I saw that they can be investments. But to me, they're more like they're more fun, and like my kids love playing with them. I like looking at them. We like to make pictures and stuff. And in the Veveverse, they become even more like tangible, that you can like place them and do things with them. So I definitely see the collectibles not as a super like high investment for me. They may eventually be worth millions of dollars, but for me, I will probably just still continue buying what I like in VV, but I might double down on some of the ones I really like. Like I really like the Iron Man collectible, and there's certain ones I like. All the Lambos. I would love to get the whole set of Lambos. So yeah, for sure. If OMI goes up faster than the collectibles go up, then yeah, I might use some of that. If the collectibles go up at the same speed, then it's going to be break even, right? But even then, I can't use OMI at all right now to buy them. So that will be a big difference too when we can use OMI. So I think my answer is yes, I will use some of that OMI for it. But I might have to top it up too, right? To stay in the Master Collector. So you said, Randy, they're going to change it from 3% to 1%. Does that mean that
Yeah,
I'm no longer going to be a Master Collector? It sounds like that's probably likely.
probably, yeah.
Oh no, I might have to buy some
Yeah,
more VV collectibles.
but if you already have 10 million OMI on there, putting another 10 million is not going to help. You'd have to go and
Yeah,
complete more sets or do whatever. So I think now, or it was like 750, 800 points. Now it might move up to like 1,200, 1,500 points, give
I
or
think
take.
that's smart. I think it's smart, and it does make it a bit more exclusive and makes it a bit harder. And some people that are really into it are going to put more money into VV collectibles to get to that level. It will
And
probably put a few people off too, that they get knocked out of Master Collector by that far.
yeah, there's going to be events where you're only going to be able to go for a drop if you're a master collector. And in order to do that, are you going to go and buy a whole bunch of collectibles just for one drop, or are you going to use OMI to bronze ticket and use those bronze tickets for more MCP points, thus burning all that OMI? I think it's more likely that people are going to go and use their OMI to those bronze tickets, and we're going to see a lot of burns soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we get crazy IP, like maybe if we get Dragon Ball Z, I would definitely spend a lot of OMI and a lot of MCP points and buy a lot of bronze tickets. So like there's definitely certain drops that would make me go a bit crazy. I know for Doctor of Stuff, he's not here, but he loves Wolverine. He loves the X-Men. So that's like his poison. And I think we all there's so many IPs and things on VV. There's got to be something for everyone, right? So there'll be something that someone's going to go crazy over. For me, it'd be Dragon Ball Z, as well as Pokemon, but definitely Dragon Ball Z. And maybe like if we get One Piece as well, or Bleach. Like you don't have. Oh yeah, I've got one piece here. We got. Oh, you can't see it. Anyway, you guys know I've got Zoro there. There you go. There's my Zoro in the corner. And
Everyone comment F down below to pay respects to Akira Toriyama.
yes, that sucks. Does that mean? I mean he didn't write them all, right? All the mangas. Was he like a co-writer? Was there other writers as well involved?
I
Was
mean,
this
it's his
kind of like
creation. I don't know how much involved he was in the later years in the writing process, but
okay? Yeah. So
I
it'll
don't know.
still go on. It'll still go on. But yeah, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, R.I.P. So yeah, that. There's gonna be something for everyone in VV. Ooh, I like that. 14 cents. I'll take 14 cents. I'll take 14 cents. That's
Yeah, 14 cents will be
there's
nice.
stuff.
I hope it does better. I want to paint a picture of how this can go. I've been reading this book called Very Important People, and it talks about how people flex their wealth, specifically in nightclub scenes. But it's part of the reason why I think OMI can go in ways people don't realize, because the power of social flexes. We saw that with Bored Ape Yacht Club. Bored Ape Yacht Club's real utility became the social flex. That was really like at first it was like, oh, if you got a Bored Ape, you got to get on this Discord channel with the other Bored Ape people, and that pumped the prices to about 10,000 or 12,000. That utility. But then celebrities started buying them. They never got in on the Discord. They didn't give a damn about the Discord. They wanted the social flex. And so then it became a competition of who paid more for their Bored Ape. That was part of the social flex. And we have only begun with the social flexes in crypto. I think OMI is perfectly positioned for the social flex, especially if they can somehow integrate the VV showcase with your social media. Because social media, like what happened with Bored Apes, really the whole use case of the Bored Ape became your Twitter profile picture. But what if on Twitter you could link right in your bio, you could link to your VV showcase and show off your stuff? Now, I don't know they'll come together like this, but imagine Saudi princes and other people. Like they'll often go to like a nightclub. This is what the Really Important People book talks about. They'll go to a nightclub and they will drop 250,000 in a night. They'll buy Dom Perignon bottles for everybody in the club. Actually, more bottles than anybody can even drink. And it's not because they're actually buying the bottles for them. It's a social flex to show how important they are. Well, imagine when they're doing that with their Veve things. And part of the story is what they paid for it. Now, do I know that that's going to come together? Well, I know the power of social flexing. And I suspect as the world is talking about crypto, they're going to look for something tailor-made for that type of situation. And so far, Veve is one of the best positioned for social flexes like that with some of the biggest brands. So part of the story will be not how cheap they got it for, but how much they bought these things for. Will that come together? I suspect it will. And if it does, my price predictions for OMI could be low. Now, I don't have a magic crystal ball to see if it comes together that way, but I think it stands a pretty good chance for that.
Yeah, this is why that's the same example I like to use for the gold and silver Veve logo. Big guys, oh, hey, is I don't know, name a female rapper, Lil Kim, or I don't know, she's the older one. Megan Thee Stallion over there. Let me go and spend $150,000 just at this table, just to be right next to her. Yes. And then do the flex on top of that. So yeah, absolutely right. That's why.
And when they have like absurd money, so if you have oil money or you're a Russian gangster or whatever, right? And to them, money starts to lose value. And what they're trying to buy is the feeling of importance through social flexes. And if that starts happening through buying Veve collectibles, because digital collectibles are superior to physical collectibles. Why? To show off your physical collectibles, you have to have somebody actually come over to your house, or you have to sit there and film a video of it and hope people get traction on it. You almost have to have one of the top YouTubers come by and film your house to even be able to show off your art and your other physical collectibles. Where in this world that we're going to, you'll be able to showcase your digital collectibles on Instagram, on your Twitter, on your other social media profiles. And as their importance goes higher, and I suspect they will, then everybody will show them off, which then creates more pressure on those that have money to just buy their way into the game. So am I going to try to keep up with Master Collector all the time? F no. Why? Because I hope that the billionaires are beating me out. I'm not a billionaire, but I hope what happens is that they come in and they're like, oh, crap, I want Rain Spot. How much does he have? Okay, let me spend 10x that and put it in and be like, cool. Yeah. And I'll be taking profits on my stuff when that happens. So I will be selling into exit liquidity. Not my audience's exit liquidity. I don't need them. I want them to do as well or even better than me. I'll be telling them at the same time that I'm selling. Why? Because our exit liquidity will hopefully be rich Saudi princes and rich Russian businessmen, things like that.
I'm hoping that one of those princes or Russian businessmen wants a number 41 logo set and gives me 7 figures.
They probably will. The social flex behind that will be astounding, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, Randy, I want to make you a deal. I'm going to fly into New York. Let me take you to a nice restaurant. I want to talk to you about business stuff. How much you want for your logos?
And then let me tell some people tricks of the PI trade. Every man has a weakness. Every single one. Feeling important. It's money. It's women. It's booze. Whatever it is, everyone has one. Mine is food. Take me out for a nice bottle of Johnny Walker Blue and a nice steak. Y'all can get whatever you want. I'll give you those logos for a nice price.
We've got a bunch of awesome questions from the fam. I'll just quickly go through them because I've been waiting for some of these. Randy, apparently,
yes, I did. OMI 19M. So original, and this is still the plan, is that when the OMI to gem liquidity pool comes out, then they will go and they will burn that $5.5 billion. They will burn that from the Ecomi business development wallet. They have not said anything to discredit that. So as of right now, that is still the plan. We likely won't get that till later this year. We have OMI to NFT up first. Then we have OMI to bronze ticket. And they still have to release Veveverse, which I'm hoping is in Q2. IP branded worlds, which I'm hoping is the second half of this year. But OMI to Gem will happen at some point, and it will be on that. But I just don't know when. That is still the plan. Be advised, though, I did answer your question like 30 minutes after you had posted that, so that might be my bad.
All good. And how many daily points do we get for having 10 million OMI? You said 500?
550 now. It was 650, and it's down to 550. A lot more OMIs being locked up on.
What do we think is going to happen with the Bit4X stash? Because I've heard it was legally seized, so they might have access to it at some point, the OMI tokens. But
yeah, I have no idea what happens to that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has an idea.
No, we might have it in the next year or two, give or take.
There's another one here, and then I've got one for Rain after this. So this is Stevie saying struggling to tell their family that their coins are locked up on Bit4X. Should we get to some of them? We know somebody that just recently gave their brother 40 million OMI tokens because their brother had them locked up on Bit4X and they felt bad. So Stevie, that's totally up to you what you want to do. It's hard, man. We get family involved and you potentially lose their tokens. I've got my brother's OMI tokens on my own cold storage wallet. So just to make sure that he didn't lose it, because my brother's not, he's not crypto savvy. And so, yeah, like it's totally up to you. And I've got another one for you, Rain. What do you think is happening with this price with this exchange? I think you're sort of answering.
Bitget is not a really big exchange, right? It's another like low tier exchange. Cool. Like it's a little bit better than some of the other low tier exchanges. So it's cool. I don't know that it affect the price much. If the price goes up from here, cool. I kind of hope it doesn't. I have some other placements that I'm hoping swing up higher because I only take profits on what's high to roll into what's low. And so it's still low, like 001, like 001 was always like a great price for OMI. Not as juicy as it did get, but always still a great price for OMI. So I want to make some more moves into OMI. I'm not happy that I have 32 million locked up in Bit4X. It was like a knife in the back. Oh, well, that happens. Like we were playing in a game in shark infested waters, and sometimes the sharks take your leg and you're like, crap. Oh, well. So I did pick up like another 13 million, replace some of that with some extra liquidity I just had sitting around. And I'm like, I'm waiting for a few things. If they go up more from where I am, I might make some much bigger moves into OMI. I'm very bullish on it. I paid a lot for the OMI I have. I paid like 150,000 for the 63 million I have in OMI, which is like not a very high amount of OMI, but I've been a big believer for a long time. And when you're dollar cost averaging during the bear market, sometimes it gets cheaper than you ever believe it will. And had I had a magic crystal ball and I used that money to buy it at the bottom, well, shoot, I would have almost 300 million OMI for the same amount that I spent. Cool. I don't have a magic crystal ball. Like my first bear market that I was preparing for the bull market of 2021, I invested 150,000. And in March of 2020, that 150,000 was worth about 30,000. And it was a pretty depressing feeling. And like, man, I suck at this and this is terrible and crap, everything's going wrong is what I was thinking. And then I was just patient. I refused to sell any of my position at their absurdly low lows. And then it went 100x from the bottom. And I was like, oh, my thesis worked out. Worked out great. And I only had a 35% success rate of the stuff that I bought during the bear market. So 65% of what I bought failed because I used to invest in meme coins. I hadn't learned my lessons yet. I used to invest in some other things. So only 35% succeeded, but that 35% averaged about 300x, which took my portfolio 100x from where it was.
You have so now that you've learned to not really do meme coins, you tend to do things that are more safe. You still do low cap coins, but they're not memes. They all have utility and they all have things that are planned.
Just because they have higher predictability, right? Like if I had thought about it, I might have done the Doge Shiba Inu play going into Bitcoin, maybe. But even then, it's just what I like is predictability. And meme coins, especially if it's not Doge and Shiba. The problem with meme coins is you're relying on what I call the greater fool theory, that some fool will come down later and throw more money in than you're buying it. The reason why meme coins run is new people come into this space. They don't know anything about crypto and it's very complex and complicated to them. So instead of trying to learn the complexities, they throw some money into what's easy and fun. Meme coins are perfectly positioned for that. OMI is actually perfectly positioned for that too. As new people come into the space, they're going to see some of these Marvel collectibles, and some of their first purchases of any crypto is going to be the OMI coin. Even with as hard to get as it is, we saw this back in 2021. So I like that. But with meme coins, that's why meme coins often pump first, is you have a bunch of newbies. They don't know anything else, but their friends talked about Shiba. It sounds fun, and they throw money into Shiba. So what happens, though, is everyone kind of like, well, I'm going to throw it into Taylor Swift's Cat number 3 coin. And the predictability on that at best is 20% right now, of 20% chance it goes up. And if it goes up, it might only 4 or 5 or 6x. So the odds aren't as good as throwing them in something that has higher predictability. So one I made a massive move in is Bumper, and I put $43,000 additional dollars into it. And Bumper, like, will it succeed? Probably. So what are the chances it fails between now and the coming bull market? Maybe 5%, maybe 10%. They have 2 years worth of financial runway. And even then they could borrow more funds. And the founder behind it is super wealthy from other business ventures. So I don't see them running out of cash. They have deep pocket friends and stuff. But say, I don't know what could make them fail, but imagine they failed. So I give it a 5% chance they could fail from now until the bull run. If they're not ultimately successful with what they're trying to do, I still don't see why they won't at least 15x. If they are ultimately successful in a big way, they could go 3,000x.
Not
So
3,000%.
those are the kind of plays I like to make, right? Of like, okay, 95% chance they succeed, and possibly if they just barely kind of limp along and the bull run happens, they'll probably do at least 15x. They'll probably pace a little bit higher than what Bitcoin did. And that's if they don't really catch any traction. If what they're doing is as revolutionary as I think it is, and it catches traction, it can go like 3,000x. So when I'm messing with meme coins, I'm foregoing other opportunities. It's called the opportunity cost of it. Now, ideally, if I had a magic crystal ball and if I knew something was going to pump and I could throw $1,000 into it, turn it into 25,000, and then roll that 25,000 into Bumper, I would do that. But, you know, every crystal ball I've tried to buy, whether it was Walmart or Target or whatever store, none of them work. So, you know, I've just resigned myself to playing it in this way that's got the highest predictability and avoiding the stuff that has much lower predictability.
Awesome. We have a special guest.
Ooh.
Everybody. Hey,
oh, yeah.
What's going on, everyone? Hey, guys.
Sorry. Fan going. But did you sleep at all?
Not a lot.
Oh man.
Not a lot. So, it's I mean, for stuff like this, it's I mean, let's be honest, it hasn't come up very frequently recently, right? Being able to celebrate those wins. So you want to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So definitely spent quite a bit of my weekend making sure that everything kind of went smoothly and that we had all of our ducks in a row. And I think I signed off last night around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I think it went live at 6 o'clock my time. So luckily I had some help kind of handing things off for the first couple hours in the morning so I could get a little bit of sleep and we could kind of just, you know, let things sit as is. But then obviously working on getting the medium and everything out, and then just been interacting with the community nonstop today. And the reception's been, you know, overwhelmingly positive. It's definitely a first step in the right direction that we're headed this year, and I think it kind of renews people's confidence in that when we say that we're working on something and that something is a priority for us, we can show that it's a priority. Because end of the day, you can say whatever you want, but you know, actions will speak for themselves. So I feel, you know, this was definitely maybe not what everyone was hoping for. And, you know, maybe we can get into that a bit with, you know, accessibility and other things that, you know, come along with Bitget. Obviously, you know, it's not an exchange accessible in the US necessarily, but, you know, it definitely opens up the door and gives us a lot of opportunities of what we can explore moving forward. So I'm excited for it. And yeah, running on fumes, but the energy in the community is definitely keeping me going.
Well, Foster, you actually made this show happen today. I was not gonna. I was gonna skip this 1 week. I was gonna I'm gonna take this week off around the Ecomi verse. I didn't organize anything over the weekend. I had a busy weekend with the family, And then I woke up at 6 a.m. For me, it's, right now it's 9 a.m. So 6 a.m. in the morning for me 3 hours ago. I was like, oh no, Bitget came out. Oh, we've got to run around the Comiverse today. So I quickly scrambled and talked to the boys and got Rain and Randy on here. So thank them so much for coming on, and then managed to talk to you, and you said you'll come on. So like, this is so much fun.
No, I was actually going to message you yesterday and be like, hey, do you have a spot around the Ecomiverse? I might just come on and say, but I didn't want, like, I've been, because we try to be, right, like, very, very correct with how we're doing things now. So like, I felt like even sending you a DM privately being like, hey, like, I'm thinking about coming around the Ecomiverse tomorrow. Like, I didn't want you to start being like, well, why would he want to randomly come on? So I was like, you know what, we'll let the cards fall as they may. And so when you reached out to me, I definitely wanted to come on and obviously share in kind of this victory with the community. So,
man, you're always welcome on here. You're always welcome on here. Randy, was that?
Oh, yeah. So we had some blockchain detectives couple weeks, some point last month, go and say, hey, you have Bitget that got $80,000 worth of tokens, which is what they need for an A-tier listing, from a wallet that had 30 billion, which may or may not be the Ecomi business development wallet. And then X amount of weeks later, we get this. Can you take us through the steps and kind of show some of the fudders, like, hey, we can't just go and think about listing one day and then have it the next day. It takes X amount of weeks to do it, probably X amount of months. Is there anything that you can tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not the person responsible for the exchange listing, so I can kind of only speak off of my experience, and this one obviously being the first one that we've had since I joined the company. But it's a very involved process, and I think that people will often see a meme coin get listed on an exchange or even a major exchange, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, like, it's so simple. Why can't they do it?" And it's not that it's not simple in principle. And I want to make that very clear to everyone. Everyone that thinks that it's a super, super complicated process. To just get a token listed on an exchange is not complicated. If you want to pay $1 million tomorrow to get listed on an exchange and you're not a complete scam and you can kind of show the project, like, here's what we're working on, they'll list you. That's fine. But what are the regulations surrounding where that exchange operates? Or what are the legal considerations you need to make as a company with the brands and licensors or just general partners that you work with? Are there any considerations that need to be taken into mind? Does it line up with a utility or feature that you're trying to roll out? There's so many considerations that come into every decision that get made. And I think, and it is frustrating because I'd love to be able to talk about it more, but I think people don't get to see that kind of behind the scenes of all the thought process that goes into making these decisions. And sure, could it have been listed a week ago? Maybe, right? Like, we could have rushed it and made it happen sooner. But I mean, they're running a campaign where they're giving away tens of thousands of dollars in OMI, right? Like, there's going to be tons of engagements. There might be another promo coming up next week that we haven't talked about yet that might be coming out, right? So the exchange runs a lot of these promos. They do a lot of these things. And so if you just want a basic listing on an exchange, you could, in theory, make it happen. But once again, we're a project that's being built out for longevity. And we have plans and utilities that we want to roll out. And along with those features, we want to provide accessibility. So when we put out the article back in January talking about our priorities for the OMI token in 2024, there is a reason that accessibility and utility are the two major priorities, right? And of course, accessibility at the time wasn't necessarily fully defined. So people weren't necessarily sure what that meant. And the reason that it's not defined is that it really means so many things. And I actually put out a tweet on my personal Twitter earlier and kind of explain to people that, like, accessibility doesn't just mean, hey, you got listed on Bitget, that's accessibility, right? Like, it could mean DEXs, it could mean fiat on-ramping options. There's so many different options. There's layer 2 options that we can consider. Like, there's so many different things that come into kind of making the OMI token accessible for people in every jurisdiction, people in different financial situations, people with different crypto literacy. And so, yes, in a normal project, you can just list a token if you want to, whatever, pay for it, that's fine. And I'm not saying that we're opposed to it either, right? But at the same time, there's just steps that need to be taken. It's an iterative process. And I know some people as well, Bitget might not have been the exchange that they were hoping for, either because it's not accessible in a jurisdiction that they reside in, or it's not the tier 1 that they were hoping to see. But at the end of the day, these things, right? Like, we have 500,000, a million in 24-hour trading volume. if you want exchanges to organically list you and take notice to you, they're going to look at your community. They're going to look at what the engagement is. They're going to look at the trading volume. They're going to look at your socials. So once again, like if we can get people interested in exchanges like Bitget, then other exchanges might go, hey, wow, that community is really awesome. And when they list somewhere, they really take advantage of it. Let's reach out to them and see if they want to come on our exchange, right? Doesn't mean that we're waiting on phone calls for them, but at the same time, there's different options and things available. So those decisions are made at a much higher pay grade than mine. So not a headache that I need to worry about necessarily, but I am very comforted in the fact that there is certainly a plan as it comes to rollouts for this year. And I think unlike previous years or previous circumstances, we've seen in a very short period of time integrations of both utility and accessibility that have already started in Q1 of this year. And I will imagine will only continue and if not even ramp up as we continue throughout the year.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. We've just got a quick question from Coolamo. How will OMI, can you talk about how OMI will be affected by the master collector status in the future? I think maybe he's talking about staking. Are we going to continue staking OMI?
Yeah, so I know Veve put out an article, I think about an hour or so, talking about some changes to the Master Collector rank. Obviously, I have an understanding of what's happening there, but probably not my place to touch on it fully. Like, I'll let them cover that. But yeah, I mean, the way that OMI rewards have been structured is that we want to continue to add utility features for the OMI token within the Veve platform. And one of those features are earning either bonus MCP points from holding your OMI in the Veve app or earning bronze tickets, which you can also then use for exclusive crafting events and some other utilities that will be announced. And of course, you can also use those bronze tickets starting at some point in Q2 to redeem them for additional MCP points, which you can then use, towards the priority wait list or anything else that comes out for MCP. So in the first couple of iterations, really just holding OMI, and I just want to clarify too, it's not staking in a traditional sense, right? Like you can withdraw your tokens at any point without penalty. Yeah, it's really just holding the tokens that you already have, whether it have been on an exchange or a cold storage or a hot wallet. You're just holding them on your wallet in the Veve app, and then you're earning rewards as a byproduct of that. So that will continue to be built out and will continue to become more robust with more features and integrations offered for it. And I think the demand you're going to start to see go up for it as well, for the sole fact that as the rank system adjusts, and I think people will see that kind of tonight when it updates, some people might be shell-shocked with how their ranks are adjusted and how the calculations are being done. And so I think we're really going to start to see some competition heat up, as especially if Veve were to announce some features come out where being in a certain rank or level gave you, and this is just me speculating at this point, but like priority access to drops or exclusive accessories or anything like that, where people might go, oh well, geez, I really need to start focusing on my MCP rank. And so when this program kind of came out 2 years ago and I was learning about it for the first time, I really had the saying of MCP should accompany your collecting journey and not be the reason to collect. And I want that to continue to be the case and the mantra for people. But I think people who are already, passionate collectors who are already in the ecosystem and are taking advantage of the collectibles and collecting them for their own enjoyment are going to start to see kind of even more benefits and rewards as a byproduct of that. And I think that the adjustment in this calculation will really start to show who the true master collectors are. And that doesn't take away from anyone else that collects on the platform. But, we know, looking at a Dr. Profit or a Rolly or something like that, like I don't belong in the same rank as them. Like, let's be honest, right? So they're a cut above. So I'm excited for that change to take place and kind of for iterations to be built out on that.
Cool. And one more question was, I seem to have lost it. That's okay. Rain, do you have any questions with Foster?
Foster, love what you guys are doing and setting up. I see the genius behind it in the direction you're going. I hate that you guys are cutting down the number of people who get Master Collector, but I love that you're doing it at the same time because I know what that will create. And I hate it because I know that there's going to be like much bigger whales than me coming in, and that the adoption of Veve, I suspect, is going to be really high in mainstream people, which kind of addresses a question somebody was asking about, oh no, Veve's still a walled garden. A lot of the people coming in the show want a walled garden, they are not ready to have their own keys. And so they're actually in a more protected space and a better space for most of them. So I see the walled garden as a plus, not a negative. Now, what would be amazing is someday that you can export them to your own wallet if you want. That'd be cool. And whether that happens or not, I don't think that'll hold back Veve. I think most of the new people that will be coming in this next year, and I think there will be a massive number of them, will want a walled garden where they don't have to worry about their security keys, and that if somebody goes in and steals all their stuff, it can then be reversed. And so there's some advantages to centralization in a case like this. And I think a lot of those new people that are not crypto natives coming in, they'll actually prefer that because it's more in line with what they're used to. And so with you guys setting up what you're setting up and making it harder to become master collector, I can see the whales coming in and just like outspending me like crazy. And they'll make me look like a little fish. But I want that to happen because that means the value of everything I have. I'm an investor ultimately. I am part collector. Like part of me is like, no, I love having a master collector status. No, but then they come in, and if it makes my collection be worth 100x where it's at, I'll cry for a little bit, but it'll just be a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it always hit me like my buddy Andre always talked about Bevelin goods when he would make YouTube videos and talking about coveted items and things like that. And I think it's really true to an extent that, you know, if everyone can attain something or achieve something, then it automatically doesn't feel valuable, even if it does have a value associated, right? Like if everyone could own a yacht, then having a yacht probably wouldn't be that cool because everyone has one, right? So it's like when you have to be a certain something or have access to a certain something or whatever, it automatically associates kind of an inherent value, even if it's not financial, where it's that flex, right? Like if you look at a master collector starting tomorrow, probably you're going to go, holy cow, they're really the top echelon, right? And not to say that, you know, being a master collector wasn't an achievement before. It certainly was. But I think as you look to roll out kind of certain integrations and benefits and stuff, you just have to be mindful that as the user base grows, like 1%, being in the top 1%, well, if you only have 1,000 users, right, the top 1% is 10 people. It's not a lot of people. But if you have 1 million users, that's 10,000 people. Right. So when you start to think about that and you start to scale up and you go, well, we want people to be able to have access to this specific thing or whatever. Well, even once you get up to 10,000 isn't even that scarce at that point. Right. So it's just, you know, I've really been comforted by the fact that it does really feel like it's chaos sometimes. But when you really get to take a look at it and zoom out, there really is method to the madness. And so I've been comforted by that fact. And so we'll see how it rolls out. I don't know if I'll be a master collector. And I'm sitting at, I think, 2,700 daily points. And, you know, I don't know if I'll be one, right? So we'll have to see how the calculations work out. I don't know, obviously, the numbers or anything behind the scenes, but I'm excited. And if I am a master collector, I'm going to feel far more proud of it tomorrow than I did today, right?
Do you know when it starts? Does it start tomorrow, Foster?
I believe it's supposed to go live tomorrow. Yeah, I think it goes live tonight.
Wow.
The calculation that takes place in an hour or whenever it is, wherever you are local. So
yeah, 3-4 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. And so yeah, it's you know, it feels like we're busy again. It feels like we have things to talk about, to be excited about, to speculate about, to be upset about, but things all the same, right? And so I think kind of any conversation is a good conversation. And I think, you know, one of the, you know, major benefits of Bitget is that I feel like it introduces us to, you know, a large user base, a large social media following. Obviously, having Lionel Messi as a brand ambassador speaks volumes to the caliber of ambassadors and people who recognize their platform. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, obviously, you know, shouldn't be storing crypto on any exchange. Just because Bitget is coming doesn't mean you should take all of your OMI off of cold storage and store it on Bitget, right? There are promotions being run. You're welcome to participate in them. They're being run by the exchange, so use them at your own risk. You know, it's very unfortunate, obviously, what happened with Bit4X, and that this, you know, I don't want people to feel like because we're turning the page on having a new exchange that we've just completely forgotten about that. It's a very unfortunate situation, but it is a reminder that needs to be made all the same, is to, you know, having, you know, custody of your assets and to speak to Rain's point, right? Like for people that don't know, you know, what they're doing, like having their assets on Veve, super helpful in a lot of cases, but if you have that crypto knowledge and wherewithal, sometimes it's good to be able to custody or at least find a balance for that. I was reading someone's posts this morning who I've followed for a few years in the space, and they talked about how they downloaded a very legitimate looking app from the actual Apple App Store that ended up being a wallet drainer, and they lost, 6 figures plus of crypto and NFTs and stuff.
What? That's possible?
Yeah. So it's just, it's one of those things where, people that have even been in the space for years are unfortunately not, fully protected, right? I mean, it only takes one moment of you not paying attention, an announcement comes out, you click on a wrong link and everything's gone. And, not to scare anyone, like that's not the intention of this. It's not to sell you that centralization is better, because it comes with its flaws as well, right? But, it's, it's a nice balance. And I think, speaking of balance and kind of to what Rain was saying as well, obviously I don't speak for Veve, I don't speak to the collectibles side, but on our side, I think as the year progresses, you will start to see more balance with the options that users have available to them, with how they choose to hold on to and custody their tokens. And that's, that'll be a move, if/when it happens, that is not only best for the users, but best for the company as well, right? Like we don't need the liability of holding on to everyone's tokens. Like it's not an ideal situation, but it's the system that we have currently. And obviously, like Rain said, we have the ability to reverse transactions and things of that nature. But, I think having that balance, and, I think I'll get into that probably at some point with accessibility as well, is having more options is never a bad thing, right? So it'll really just be a plug and play situation where people can, when you play those video games and you choose your adventure, it'll be like that. You choose your adventure. If you're happy having things on Veve, having your tokens on Veve, you do that. If you want to custody your tokens, you do that as well. So, we're really working towards, building out robust solutions that the community has been asking for and that will benefit the community and the company. So I think it's going to be a win-win all around. And like I said, I would consider this step kind of 0.1 of everything that we're looking to accomplish. But hopefully this, reaffirms the fact that we're committed to accessibility when we say that we want accessibility for the token, and utility with obviously the season 1 that's rolled out and season 2 kind of around the corner.
Awesome.
Beer Man asked a good question about where'd that question go? It's up. Leaderboards. Any update on leaderboards, if that's a priority?
Yeah, so I think there's leaderboards right now on potentially a couple third-party platforms. I know Stacker, for instance, has some leaderboards, which are really cool. That might get built out more over time, but I would imagine as well that we are likely to see kind of an internal leaderboard process on Veve as well. But once again, they have entire teams of people working on things behind the scenes, and they don't tell me nothing. So I'm just I'm speculating along with all of you, but I know that a lot of that feedback gets passed along from the community directly to them, and a lot of decisions that end up getting made when it comes to the token or the platform are done because of feedback that's received from the community. So I would say that that's something that we definitely heard about for a while. So I imagine that it's somewhere on the priority list. Where it sits exactly, couldn't tell you, but definitely giving more ways to gamify the platform and give people a reason to compete, especially with the ranks changing, will definitely be important.
Cool.
Awesome. I just had a quick one from C-Spill. Are you guys producing more of the cold storage Ecomi wallets?
At this point, from my understanding, there are no more that are in production, so they've almost become more of a collectible than anything else. We still do offer full support for it, and we have no intentions of stopping that support for anyone that owns an Ecomi secure wallet. But as of right now, it's not a priority for us. One, it was built out as a way in 2018 to connect your collectibles, and obviously that has taken quite a while just with the way that licensors work and getting permissions and things like that. And two, I mean, we recognize what we are good at and what we are not so good at. And so, not to say that there's anything wrong with the Ecomi Secure Wallet, but when there's other products out there like Ledger and Trezor that work well and are great products and are trusted in the community, there's not really a need to put one out right now. Now, in the future, could there be a possibility that, we see a mass market version of the Ecomi Secure Wallet? or maybe something along those lines that's rebranded, that comes with a digital collectible when you buy one, and you get them at Walmart or whatever like that. I would love to personally see something like that, but to my knowledge, anyways, it's not in the cards, at least at this exact moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Randy, do you have any questions for Foster?
So obviously you don't have to go in. Well, yeah, you don't have to go into detail, obviously. But could you say percentage-wise, hey, based on everything that we have announced so far for the OMI utility, obviously you have OMI to bronze ticket, OMI to NFT, you're going to have MCP ticket to accessory. There's a lot of stuff that's been announced, but then obviously you said there's stuff working behind the scenes. We have a breakdown of like, okay, 80% of the stuff is announced and 20% is unannounced, or a different percentage, or you'd rather not say, which is completely fine. And then we could just talk about other stuff.
I used the analogy last time that last year was a rebuilding year. And this year was the year that I believed that we were going to make a run for the Stanley Cup, for those of you that watch hockey. I really do firmly believe that we've rebuilt the foundation that we needed. And I think as pieces come together, people will either see them as not so big of a deal or as very big deals. But I can very much assure you that stuff like what has happened today is a very big deal. And so when we can start consistently delivering on our internal roadmap that we are working on with the features and utilities that we're hoping for, I think that the answer will become very clear to people. And I say that not to be, facetious or mysterious or whatever, but truly, I couldn't put a percentage on it if I wanted to, because I feel like every single day that I do this job or I speak with the community, even more ideas are coming up to continue to improve utilities or create new utilities or new ways to access things. And so I don't feel like the job is ever going to be done. So I think to put a percentage on it would be fairly disingenuous, because it would indicate that once we hit 100%, we've hit kind of our finish line. And so for me, I will say we're about 20% through the year. And I would very much like to think that the rest of this year can be filled with just as much, if not more, of what we've accomplished in the first bit.
Oh, that was a great answer, Foster. Really good answer. I've just got to
clip it.
Yeah. Wait, do you know when they're going to readjust the amount of OMI we need on the app? Is that next year? Is it like
no? So every season, there will be a basically a max amount we're eligible for rewards, and the reason that we do that seasonally, which right now is every 3 months, is because things like bronze tickets and things like that, and the amount of MCP points that you get, all of that needs to be balanced, right? So we need to be able to look at that data, make sure that it's still fair to people, because what we don't want, and I know people will try, and I was one of those people before I started, was to gamify everything that you could and take the most advantage out of it. So we're trying to remove any ways that people can exploit the system or otherwise take advantage of it. So that's one of the reasons that if you have OMI in your wallet at the last day of one season, you're automatically enrolled into the next season. So we want people to be able to participate and experience everything that we're working on, but there will be some fluctuation in the amount that's required for rewards. And part of that is, how many people have OMI on the app? How many people have each amount of OMI on the app, right? Does everyone have 100,000 OMI? Does everyone have 10 million? Like, how do we balance that? And then on top of that, what's the price of OMI, right? So having 10 million OMI on the app at 0.001 is very different than having 10 million OMI on the app at 0.005 or a penny or 4 zeros, right? Like, it's whatever way you want to look at it, it's a very different calculation and creates a very different incentive to have people hold their tokens on the platform. And even though they're not technically staking, you do need to balance that, right? Because if I feel like I could have my tokens somewhere else, or it's just not worth it for me to have them on the platform, then people aren't using the ecosystem. And the intention is to have them use the ecosystem and take advantage of it. So that's always going to constantly be revisited and balanced. I don't know if it's changing for season 2, to be honest. The price has been kind of around the same level that it was when we started in season 1. But once again, I don't make those decisions, so I'll wait and see the next time that we have our steering committee meeting about it and see kind of how they want to go about it. But we're coming pretty close to that article, coming out. We're only 3 weeks away from season 2, so the decision will definitely be made soon, but it's not set in stone yet. So I don't want to put my foot in my mouth on anything. So.
That makes sense. But basically, the answer is basically every 3 months there'll be a rebalancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming that seasons stay every 3 months, right? That will be the intention, but seasons may change over time. And I think it's worth noting too, like just because a new season's starting, like similarly, like when Veve starts a new season, like it doesn't necessarily mean like we have features in the pipeline and utilities in the pipeline the whole time, but there might not be an exact feature that goes live exactly on April 1st, right? Like that might not be the roadmap that comes out, right? Like we could have held off on the exchange until April 1st just to be like, haha, but there's no need for that, right? Like things will roll out as they come.
You do April 2nd, so people don't think it's a joke.
Yeah, people don't think it's a troll. But and the reason for that is, the reason for a season reset, at least right now in the program that we have currently, is to reset the rewards that you're earning on a seasonal basis. So right now, the only seasonal rewards that you're earning are bronze tickets. So you need a seasonal reset because people need to start earning them again from the beginning, right? So as the program gets built out, you'll have more of those things that you're earning. And we might adjust the season length as well, right? Like it might be every month or it might be every 4 months. Like there'll be a rhyme and reason for it. But so far, the cadence of every 3 months seems to be working for what we're aiming for. But we're not going to hold off on rolling out utilities just to match a season, right? Like if something's ready on April 15th, we're not going to wait till July 1st to roll it out just because, right? Like we'll find a way to work it in and things like that. And all the guys in the back end and girls that are working in the background are doing a really good job of prioritizing those things to make sure that we have them ready on the timelines that we're looking to have them ready on so that they kind of flow naturally, right? So,
awesome.
Yeah.
We do have a really interesting question here from Mark. Is it possible you guys will have like a whale tier for OMI staking or something like that? Because that could get really like spicy with, some of the big OMI whales putting hundreds of millions of OMI onto Veve. Is that possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible. And I mean, with the integrations of OMI to NFT coming, which is obviously confirmed as being kind of the next major feature that we're working towards delivering on, it's not out of the realm of possibility that people will be holding tens of millions of OMI on the platform to participate in trading activities. But obviously, as a byproduct of that, we'd like to reward them for it. So nothing is set in stone currently in the current kind of platform that exists. But I would absolutely love to see, if you're holding 100 million for the season, you get a very limited edition collectible, right? Even if it's just a VVIP thing or something, or it's an Ecomi thing, right? So like there's definitely options, right? Like nothing is off the table on that for any reason. It's just, like I said, it's a balance thing, right? Like if you're going to offer that feature, you also don't want to make people feel like you're selling out just because you are desperate to get them to have more money on the platform. Like at the end of the day, if people want to take advantage of the ecosystem, I think that it will happen very naturally as features like OMI and NFT come out and people really want to be using their OMI tokens on the platform. And then once people start to see the benefits that come out with OMI to NFT and why it's very much going to be advantageous to use your OMI on the app, I think people will naturally start to have more OMI on the platform, even outside of the holding rewards that we have right now. Because at the same time, if I want a max holding reward and I have 10 million OMI on the platform, and then I go to buy a Mermacorno and I now have 9.9 million, well, now I'm not getting max holding rewards anymore, right? So people are going to want to hold more than the max just so that they can earn the max. So, I mean, there'll be ways that we tackle that, and I think that that'll become more clear as OMI to NFT comes out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's wicked. Rain or Randy, do you guys have any questions?
No, love the idea though. 100 million tokens, you get a special NFT. That would be amazing, or a special collectible.
I'll do
cool.
I'll do it twice.
Yeah.
So
it should be a Randy Mighty statue.
Yeah.
So somebody was. This will probably. I'm surprised it didn't come for you first. There's a website that has a real Randy Chavez mask. Like they're making Randy Chavez masks. I don't know who it is. I'm not getting anything from it. A couple of people have bought it. Yeah, Doge Nation actually asked people to send him a video of people wearing the mask doing not great things, and he'll give them like 5 million OMI. I don't know if that's real or not. But to kind of move this towards a little bit more back towards you, on one of my streams last couple of weeks, I asked Josh Hammett, like, hey, would you do like a sparring session for like for charity? And he said yes. And he's obviously a really big fighter, really hot ticket. People will pay to see me get my face punched in. Is there a way that we could somehow have like that coincide with any type of Ecomi, like earning or burning event? Like you guys sell stuff and then 10% of what comes in that people pay in Ecomi gets burned or something like that?
So, I mean, obviously, community-driven utility has always been a big part of the project as well, and we encourage anyone that wants to create any community-driven utility is obviously more than welcome to. When it comes to kind of formal arrangements and partnerships, I think if it was advantageous for the community, it would be something that we'd be happy to explore. It would obviously just depend on the context behind it, and then the fun kind of disclaimer stuff is like the regulations behind it, right? So like, what are we promoting? Should it be promoted? Is it allowed to be promoted here? Is this gambling? Is this there's a ton of fun things that need to be considered that when you're having a conversation on Twitter don't necessarily get considered. And so there's a lot more that goes into running a business than, hey, you can do this. Because yes, there's a lot of things that you can do, but you probably shouldn't. So,
I mean, Randy, we could do that anyway ourselves as a community. So we're allowed to burn OMI tokens if we like. So we could just
I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but what I will say is obviously there's still a huge, talking about the percentages of the roadmap that we're through. I mean, we haven't seen accessories at all. We haven't seen Veveverse at all, right? The token doesn't just get forgotten in those environments, right? So, like I said, I really feel like the building blocks are starting to come into place, albeit, and granted, to everyone that's listening, a lot slower than we probably would have liked. Not for lack of trying. Sometimes when you're building a business, things just get in the way that are outside of your control. Some of them are in your control. You just take missteps along the way. But I really feel like we're on the right trajectory now. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I might end up eating my words on that. But I really do feel like from everything that I've seen and everything that we are doing and are showing, that we're very much on the right track. And so, accessibility is a big thing for me. And, I haven't touched on it a ton publicly, mostly because I don't have the information and I don't want to spread anything that might not be true. But obviously the Bitforex situation was a really tough one for our community. I had family, I had friends, I had colleagues, and of course, a lot of people in the community that had their OMI tokens on Bitforex that are currently affected in this situation. And the truth of the matter is despite what people on Twitter might tell you, no one has any idea what's going on. And, despite what some people may tell you as well, we have worked very, very hard to try and get information to provide to the community. It is currently a law enforcement investigation. And as law enforcement does, they don't release information to the public until they have their findings conclusive, right? So we are waiting on that information. And the second that we have more information, we will pass it along to the community. But right now, it's just been, it had been a bit of a tough situation. And we recognize that with Bitforex being the major avenue that our friends in the United States went to in order to acquire the OMI token, it's left a hole. And we're very much aware of that hole. And I'll be honest, this exchange listing was already planned to go live. It wasn't something that we were going to postpone or trade for anything else, given that this was already coming. But as I mentioned earlier, on the episode, the accessibility comes in a lot of ways, right? So it's not just the 3 exchanges that actually are legally allowed to operate in the US, all of which are either under the ire of the SEC or have recently been fined by the SEC for securities violations or offering futures or a plethora of other issues, right? Like Kraken, 1.6 billion in fines, Binance, 4.3 billion, can't operate in the US. SEC is currently in a lawsuit with Coinbase over things. Like it's the regulatory framework right now is a mess, and it's really unfortunate. I would love more than anything to just be listed on all the exchanges that are accessible in the US yesterday, right? Like that would make my life a million times easier because I wouldn't have to sit here and talk about it all the time. But the reality is, when you're a real company and you have real people that you need to answer to and real companies and real stakeholders, you have to be accountable for those decisions. And you can't just, well, let's hope it works out and ask for forgiveness later. You need to be sure. And we're always going to err on the side of caution when it comes to regulatory scrutiny and frameworks to ensure that we are compliant as best as we can be under the regulations that exist for all of the areas that people that want to access the token reside. So accessibility is going to look like a couple different things. It will look like centralized exchanges. Obviously, we saw the one today. It's not going to be the only one that we ever see listed for the OMI token again. It'll look like decentralized exchanges. We've already seen the Uniswap pool with Ethereum and OMI. Things like that will continue to come. There will be fiat onboarding opportunities that do come up at some point where you will be able to effectively buy OMI directly with a credit card, but these things just take time. And the reason that they take time is because you have to make sure that you're doing them right, because we don't have the luxury of doing it wrong. We've seen what's happened with other projects like XRP that tried to roll the dice. We've seen it with the library token tweeting out rocket emojis, and that was enough to get, on the radar or the ire of regulatory bodies. We can't afford any missteps at this point. We are at too much of a crossroads where we have an opportunity to do something really great and build out something really amazing to make any missteps at this point. So it may feel like we're not moving as quick as some people may want us to. And some days I feel like that too. Waking up and looking at social media every day and seeing that we're not necessarily where we'd like to be, it's tough, but we're very much heading in that direction. So I'm very, very excited for what accessibility is going to look like for the OMI token in due time. And I don't want to give any timeframes because we're not going down that road again. But I think once we get to that point, people will be able to circle back to a moment like this and go, wow, it really did make sense. And so, I tweeted out a month or two ago when I first started this job, a puzzle piece. And I talked about building out the outside and not knowing the picture that you're building. But as you start to put in the centerpieces, the picture becomes a lot more clear. And I feel like this will be one of the steps that we've taken where people will be able to look back on and go, oh yeah, I get it now. And I'm looking forward to that day. And I hope that we don't have to wait too long.
Great.
Awesome. I just wanted to say, shout out that we have 360 people live watching us right now.
Oh my goodness.
Across all our channels. I think that's the highest I've ever had in this show.
Wow.
I think you beat David Yu, Foster. I'm pretty sure.
That's wild.
I think with David Yu, we got to about 300.
Wait, is this being recorded? I thought we were just talking, the four of us.
I mean, it's live. It's live.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? Shout out to the community then. I whether it's 3 people or 300 really doesn't matter. I love that everyone's so passionate. They're willing to come by and hang out with us and ask their questions. And, to the best of my ability, I try and be an open book. You can ask me tough questions, and if I can answer them, I absolutely will. But yeah, it's been a good day.
Yeah, awesome. I really appreciate your time coming on here. I know, like, you're not being paid for this right now. You're coming on of your own volition, right? So really, really appreciate that. It's really great to have you as the new Ecomi community manager, and I've seen almost only positive things. I've seen a couple FUD or haters, but there's not much. It's very, very few. Almost no one has a problem with you at all, which is awesome. So,
well, you know what? If you don't have haters, you're probably not doing something right, right? Like if you're trying to create something and you're trying to build something awesome, there's always going to be roadblocks and missteps along the way. And that's why I really take the point to try and acknowledge, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we're perfect. If anything, we're far from it, right? We've made a lot of missteps. We made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I feel like we're finally on that right track. So I could sit here and focus on, hey, we wanted to do this thing in 2018. It's not working out now, right? Or I can be like, hey, that didn't work out, but you know what's going to work out? This. And I think people are starting to see that, right? Like, I think it's becoming more clear now. When I started in November, it wasn't necessarily clear where things were going to go. But I think as we're starting to be able to put out announcements now and really stand behind the things that we're saying by delivering on things, it just makes life a lot easier. I know it makes my life a lot easier. Like I've been, and another perfect example of why we don't announce things until they're here is think about how everyone that's watching this right now, and I'm speaking to everyone, felt when they woke up this morning and found this out, right? One way or another, whether you couldn't access the token on, because you live in the US or you had never heard of Bitget before, you probably weren't like, oh, this is a bad day. No, can't have this. How dare they do that, right? Like, it's fun, right? But if we had said, hey, guys, we're announcing an exchange listing on Monday. It's going to be freaking awesome. Check it out. You're going to love it. And then people went, oh, well, it's for sure this exchange. Or, oh, it's definitely going to do this to the token.
Yeah.
Or it's going to... Then the speculation goes rampant. And then we release this. And then people go, oh, well, this was a nothing burger. Why did you release this? This was ridiculous. Oh, this isn't what I was expecting. And so things that we do now are very intentional. And it kills me. I'm literally sitting here and I'm like, I just want to say it. I just want to say it all. Like, it's a safe space, but I can't. It's not a safe space. And so, but it feels good.
We can do that off stream. We'll do that off stream.
No, we will not do that off stream. I don't want anyone thinking I'm doing that. We are not doing that off stream.
There is no way that's happening.
Yeah, I just, it feels good for me because I went to bed last night and I was very nervous in the 2 hours that I was asleep before I stopped talking to the Bitget team and it went live. That something was going to happen terribly. And I was going to be accountable to no one but myself because no one else knew, but I knew how much this would mean for the community. And like, those are the things that keep me up at night now is like knowing what I know, not being able to share it, and it keeping me up at night going, oh, I just want it and I want it now. Like anyone that messages me and goes, move quicker, we want this stuff now, you have no idea how much more I want it than you. You don't know, because I don't want to have to sit here and go, can I talk about this? Has this been released yet? Has this come? Can I just give people this answer? Like, it's infuriating because once we get there, we're all going to celebrate. And sure, for some, the goalposts will move to the next thing. But we'll just start checking off so many boxes that people are going to go, all right, list is complete. And then where do we go from there? And that's what I'm excited about because I don't know where we go once that's done, but I know that the community is going to play a role in getting us there. And so that's why I freaking love this job, man. I love it. I love the community. I love you guys. It's just, I never saw myself doing it. I know I'm ranting, but I never saw myself doing it. If you had asked me 6 months ago, hey, this was going to be what my life was like, I couldn't have told you. And
how are you going? Can we talk a little bit about your personal life? How are you going balancing work and family?
It can be tough sometimes. So to put things into perspective, I worked 30 hours this weekend at my other job on top of, so I worked Friday, 5 p.m. to 4 a.m., Saturday, 5 p.m. to 4 a.m., and then Sunday, 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. So that was, I guess, 33 hours technically. And on top of that, coordinating with the exchange, getting all the briefs, all the articles, everything ready, making sure everything was good on our end, everyone was coordinated on the same page, operating with people that are in time zones from my own all the way to China and New Zealand and everywhere in between. It can be a lot, but you know what? I've always felt like I've thrived in high stress environments. And I think it does take a certain type to have to deal with something like that. And sometimes you don't know the answer or you don't know what to do and you got to figure it out because the buck stops with you. And so I'm lucky that I have a lot of people that support me behind the scenes. And so, shout out to them. They know who they are. And we have a really incredible team. But, when I'm communicating all this, the buck stops with me. So I look at it as a challenge almost, right? Like I look for someone to ask me the question that's going to stump me that I don't have an answer for. Like, don't ask me the answer that I can just rattle off, right? Like, make me think about it, make me work for it, because I do consider myself a very genuine, very honest person. So, you might not like the answer that I give you, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. And I know people think that I'm a politician and whatever, but I mean, Randy's met me, like, what you see is what you get. This is how I always am as a person. And, people will either take it or leave it, but
we got a hard question for you here. Do you think we'll beat all-time highs in 2024?
I don't think he's allowed to answer that.
I won't comment on this.
I know he's not.
Yeah.
But you said you want the hard questions. So
you know what? It's a hard question, but it's also an easy question because I can't answer it. So I'm looking forward to the utilities that roll out for the token. And like I said, I think people are going to have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of the ecosystem and of the token, right? Like the OMI token was created to truly be the utility token of the ecosystem. And I think as we build out more integrations, people are going to start to see those connections take place. And so I'm really excited for that because, 6 months ago when we were having this conversation, no one cared about earning MCP points, right? Like it was whatever. Like I'm earning this magical thing that doesn't do anything, and that was the whole conversation every time was MCP points do anything? Why do I care about earning them? And then let's put our OMI tokens in the Veve app. Why would I put my OMI tokens in the Veve app? MCP points do anything? It doesn't make sense. Now MCP points are here, and people go, oh well, it's not fair. I don't have any MCP points. Oh, this MCP point thing is imbalanced. And it's like, well, for 6 months we've been telling you can hold your OMI tokens on the Veve app and earn points for free, right? So, I think. Same thing with bronze tickets. There was actually, and I won't release the exact number, but there was a lot more people that participated in season 1 of OMI Rewards than I had personally anticipated. But people will go, well, bronze tickets, they don't do anything yet. Why do I care about bronze tickets? Why do I get? But then exclusive crafting will come out, and they'll go, that's why I cared about bronze tickets, right? And so things will come out like that. And like I said, picture won't always be clear immediately, but then it'll become clear, and people will go, I should have paid more attention. Just like anyone that was on the Veve app in end of 2020 and was buying Todd's or Rizzo's in the store at retail was paying attention when no one else was. And that's why they sat, in the store not selling for months, right? And then a certain point hit and people went, oh, I should probably pay attention. And that was me paying attention, right? Which is why I have all these behind me now, because now I'm paying attention. And so I think people will, there are a lot of people that get it. I'll get a lot of messages from people that are like, this makes sense. I see why you're doing this. And I can't comment on it, but I kind of just smile internally. I'm like, this person gets it. And for the people that don't get it, I wish I could explain it. Not in a position to right now, but sooner or later we'll get to that point. And like I said, our goal is to make sure that regardless of your financial literacy, education, knowledge in crypto, accessibility to device, or anything like that, that everyone is on a level playing field, same page, and can take advantage of the ecosystem that best suits their needs.
Awesome. That's it's just a matter of being patient now and hodling. And yeah, I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited. It's it's been a long time coming, as you said. And yeah, we can see, the first steps are here. And I like how you phrase that we're, maybe 20% of the way through the year. Very, very clever. So there's potentially 80% of the year left to be delivered.
That's just what the calendar says, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
that's just what the calendar says. So yeah,
is there so they've taken for the job listings, they've taken the job of community manager off. As you're transitioning to being community manager, could you be community manager for both Veve and Ecomi? And then just, no.
Nor would I want to be. And I don't say that in a negative way. Like, it's not a slight against Veve or anything like that, but like the community really is a full-time job. And I think at some point, and Dan or David, if you're listening, I will likely transition into a full-time role at some point this year. There's too much coming, guys. I can't with the 12 hours that I'm supposed to be working a week. I mean, you guys see me on socials. You guys see me interacting with the community. Like I'm putting in a minimum of 35 hours just that I'm tracking on my phone from like phone activity. That doesn't include the hours every night that I'm on my computer.
And you work a 40-hour job as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So you're doing 70 hours a week roughly.
That's minimum, if not more. Yeah. But 80? You know what? Like the way that I look at it, and some people look at that is like, when you're passionate about something, like, yeah, I'm still working. Like, let's not get it twisted. But like on a Monday night, when I was just making YouTube content, would I have come on this show and had a conversation with you? Absolutely. And the reason that I did that is because I didn't need to get paid to do this. I did this because I loved it. And as a byproduct, I get the opportunity to do it. And that's why I say I love this job, right? Like I love this job because it gives me the opportunity to live out something that I'm passionate about. Well, also, and I don't want to say supporting myself because I still have my full-time job, but it allows me to have a little bit of extra money as well, right? And so like that's absolutely amazing. But if I had the opportunity to pick between the two, and it was do my current 9-to-5 or do this job full-time, and I could only pick one, it would 100% be in this community. And the reason that I say that, and some of you may have heard me say this story before, I had the opportunity to work at Shopify back in 2016. I had interviewed for the job. I had been hired from the job. They had sent me all of my equipment, and I was 2 days away from starting. Shopify back in 2016 is not what Shopify was now. Shopify back in 2016 was trading at $12 and had maybe 100 employees, right? Like it was a much different company than what it is now.
Like a startup, basically.
A startup, exactly. And I got offered the job that I'm in now. That was a good time. That was a good night. I got offered the job that I'm in now. And I spoke with my wife about it. And we're like, do we take the job security, the pension, and whatever, or do we take an opportunity on this? And we had a family friend who worked for Nortel. And if you guys didn't know what Nortel was, it's a big telecommunications company based out of Canada. Massive, massive, massive company. And during the tech bubble, it just completely went under. And we knew someone that was making $200,000-$300,000 a year, stock options, whatever, lost everything. And so we hummed and hawed about it and ultimately decided that I would take the job working where I am now. And, you know, I don't have any regrets per se, because I think everything in life happens for a reason. But sometimes I'll look back and go, what would my life have looked like had I taken that job? And not just because Shopify stock blew up to its peak in $2,000 a share and, you know, I would have had stock options and, you know, would be a multimillionaire right now. It's more so, do you pursue something that you think that can make you happy, or do you pursue something that feels safe? And I've taken the safe route before, and it's fine. But I don't want to look back when I'm 60 and go, yeah, I played it safe, because what's the point, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to do something. I want to be able to look back, and God willing, this will be on Netflix one day. I want to be able to look back on this and say, I did the job that made me happy, and we built some really cool shit in the process. And so for me, that's what gets me excited. That's what keeps me up late at night, gets me up again back early in the morning, is just, I love this community, man. And like, think about the sentiment right now. Obviously today it's really good, but think about the overall sentiment for the last couple months. Like, it ain't going to get any worse, right? So like, think about now and where it could be. Oh man. Like, I cannot wait. It's going to be electric. I can't wait to see everyone at physical events, you know, throughout the year, and really just be able to celebrate all the victories that we're going to have to celebrate. And gets me excited.
When you said that you are working almost 70, 80 hours a week, it reminded me of Elon Musk, actually, because it takes a certain type, like you said. You need to have that crazy energy, right? And sleeping on the factory floor. For few obviously it's, you know, more from home, but still,
I do at least get a comfortable bed. But you know what? And it taught me to, when you're focusing on things that make you happy, you focus on all aspects of your life. And so I think I've shared with some people as well. Like, I've lost over 25 pounds now this year, and so I feel a lot better too. And I think, you know, eating healthier and just treating my body better. Now, working 70 to 80 hours a week, maybe that needs to cut back a bit, but I'm building a home gym in the room behind me, and I will be documenting that journey as well, just kind of on my own channel. But I'm excited for that. Like, I needed to get back to the point where I could keep up with my 3.5-year-old. And
for sure.
When they're the ones tiring you out, you know, you need to look at the mirror and say something needs to change. So I think when you're focusing on things that make you happy, your entire outlook and the way that you live your life changes. And so I don't let the little things bug me as much anymore. And I just feel, you know, I feel positive. I wish we could fast forward the clock 6 months, but other than that, I'm very excited.
Awesome. And I know you're going away soon. Do you want to talk about that on?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I'm going on a cruise, which I'm looking forward to, taking the kiddos and the wife on a trip. We're going to Bermuda, which will be fun. Never been on a trip with our kids before, so we're really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a good trip, and you know, some well-deserved R&R for everyone. It's been a long year for me personally. My family life, and one of my daughters has some health issues that we've battled through, and so it's really shifted my perspective on things. And like I said, just kind of reoriented things that are important, and you kind of realize very quickly. When you have things going on in your life that money really doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like having money isn't nice. Of course, having money is nice, but when it comes to health and family and things like that, like, money just doesn't matter. So it's going to be nice to go on a trip and you know, recharge the batteries, because I think by the time we get to that point, I'm gonna need a couple days to sleep in. But I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome, man. I'm really happy for you. I love cruises. My wife and I used to go on cruises all the time before we had kids. We haven't really done that since. Yeah, they're getting older now. We've got a 6 and a 3-year-old, so they're almost at the age where we can start to go on like a cruise.
Nice.
So you're taking a 3.5-year-old?
3.5-year-old, and then she'll be 11 months when we go.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's gonna
be a little tricky.
It's gonna be tricky, but we're going with the extended family, so the grandparents will
you
be
got some
there,
free
the
babysitters.
grandparents will be
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
you know, we'll have babysitters for a couple nights. It'll be nice, and you know, my family never had the opportunity when I was growing up. They didn't have any money. I grew up in a single parent household until I was 6, I want to say, and you know, we were just never in a financial position to be able to have these opportunities. So I think, you know, I work hard so that I can provide the opportunities for my kids that I never had, but then I know my parents did everything they could to give me the stuff that I had. Like I'm not gonna sing a sob story either, but you know, I know how hard they worked for me, and so I feel like I owe it to my kids to work hard for them. So really, everything that I do is for them. And you know, I get that it sounds cliche, but you know, if you're a parent, and I think probably a lot of you that are listening are, you get what I mean. So.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I can see the fire in you from growing up without as much money. I had the same experience, and that's why I strive so hard. I think, you know, everyone on this panel, I think, is struggled in life when you're younger, and it really gives you that fire. And I know people that have been born into money and they don't have that fire in them. I've seen them, and they're just anything they want they get very easily, but they don't have a proper drive, striving. So I think I actually am grateful for my struggles, and I'm actually more worried about my kids having it easy. Like what's like I want to make sure that they don't. I don't know. I don't want to use the word soft, but like it's a different thing when everything's just easy for you, right?
I think child labor is legal when it's your own child.
Yeah, that's right.
Get them doing chores around the house, earning that allowance for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like my son does karate. That's some great discipline there.
Nice.
And there's still struggles in karate, right? Like especially sometimes he's fighting kids taller and bigger than him, and it's good fun. And the karate we go to is not a soft karate. They actually do hit each other. They have pads and stuff. They have pads. It's not like crazy, but some of them. Some of them they're not allowed to touch. There's no contact at some of the other ones. So it's like they're doing all this karate, but if they get hit, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do now. I got hit. It actually hurts. I don't know what to do." So, yeah. Randy's like, "What? There's karate where there's no contact?" Yeah,
well, like
it's a thing in
makes no
Australia.
sense.
Yeah, it's a thing in Australia.
I'll mention quickly too for those of you that are listening as well. Obviously, with the Bitget exchange listing that's come out today, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but didn't get into any specifics. The exchange is running some promotions for OMI. So if you do want to check out the exchange, make sure that you sign up using the link that was provided in their announcement. We also retweeted it on our official socials as well. Doing that and following the direction that's provided will actually give you the opportunity to have access to over a $30,000 worth of OMI prize pool to participate in a couple different things. So there'll be a sign up to earn campaign, which I believe is $11,000, where if you just sign up and deposit, I think it's more than $20, you get access to that. And I believe there's a form you need to fill out. So just make sure you follow the steps for that. And then there's also the deposit rebate. So if you deposit, I think it's over $50, you get the opportunity to earn up to $50 back with the activities that you're doing on the exchange. So obviously that's a way to incentivize returning users, but also new users to the platform or new users to the token as a whole to kind of really check it out and see what the Ecomi community and the OMI token is all about. So at the end of the day, once you're said and done, make sure that you are storing your tokens in a safe place or a place that you feel comfortable having your tokens. But, if you're interested and you're in a jurisdiction that allows it, I would definitely recommend checking out the Bitget promotions because it's really cool that this is being hosted. And I think we might even have one coming up next week as well, which will bring the promotion pool well over $60,000 or $70,000 worth of rewards that people can earn just by doing activities on the exchange that they'd be doing anyways. So.
The last question I have is that I forgot to ask is, we've got the South by Southwest for Veve, event happening this week, I believe. It's in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, or can you mention if there's gonna be anything Ecomi related at all, or is it just going to be strictly Veve?
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, it's a Veve event, so I would say any announcements that are coming out should be expected to be towards Veve. I believe it's Dan Carruthers who's the one that's dealing with it. So I mean, you never know if they sneak in some tidbits here and there, but I mean, there's nothing major lined up that we're expecting kind of on that front for that. I think it's going to be really Veve centric and focused, and I think that I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good. So
Awesome. And do you talk to Dan, David, Mitch, or Reese the most?
I talked to all of them, but the most probably Reese and Mitch. They call me the Smirculator, apparently. I was coined that by
Smirculator.
Millie T. Shout out to him. I speak with Reese. I mean, I speak with a lot of people in the company, but out of those four, I speak with Reese and Mitch the most.
Which makes sense. They're more like Reese is more on the Ecomi side, and obviously Mitch is the project.
Well, I mean, like when you think about any company, right? Like if you're an employee, do you like? I mean, if you're high up, maybe, but like, do you regularly have conversations with the CEO? Right? Like, not really, right? Like you'll usually have a supervisor or manager, and then that boss is a part of a steering committee, and then they report back, right? Because don't need 100+ people all reporting to the CEO the same thing. Their brain would explode. It's not a neat way to do it. So we have kind of our direct reports and people that we speak to. And, I will say for the most part, the job is very autonomous. Like I work alone for a lot of the things that I do, and I'm expected to use my own kind of judgment and decisions, right? Like I don't have talking points sitting anywhere where I'm, gotta hit on this. And then like, I don't have any of that. Like, don't say this. It's just, they trust you to do the job, and they hire what they believe to be the right people for the right positions to do the job and carry out the vision that they have. And I mean, not to my own horn, but I think so far I'm doing an all right job anyways. So hopefully I can keep it up. I at least haven't, to my knowledge, butchered anything terribly yet. So fingers crossed that we keep up with that. So,
and just a question about where's Reese? Is he just doesn't make public appearances now, but he's still working?
I mean, I've really rotated into the public facing role. Like I said, people that are much smarter and have more knowledge on blockchain and even the company are now responsible for making the decisions about utilities and the direction of the token. So the reality is if you're talking to people 24/7 like I am, you can't be building things in the background too. So people are being allocated to the positions that they're best suited to carry out the roles. And to be honest, you probably wouldn't want me being the one building out all the utilities, because I do not know how to use code or anything like that. I like to think I have some good ideas from time to time, but actually building and stuff, I'm not that guy, which is why I'm grateful that we have multiple really awesome teams that are helping us integrate and build out our features. And so we defer to them and they deliver, and then I can deliver on what they're delivering, and then everyone's happy.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up now. So thanks so much for coming, Foster. If everyone, maybe go around a round table and everyone just give their parting thoughts and stuff. Rain, do you want to go first?
What's up, everyone? As you know, I'm super bearish on Ecomi. I don't believe they have a future at all, or really quite the opposite, right? So frequently I've made the case of why I think Ecomi has an amazing future. Foster, we appreciate your work there. You took a lot of arrows in the back. Holy shiz. Took a lot of arrows in the back. Why? Because people get emotional when the price hasn't pumped. In this crypto space, everyone comes in to be rich, and when it takes longer than they think, or it doesn't go the way they think, they want to throw arrows at someone. And Foster got himself in that position where all the arrows went into his back, his kneecaps, his Achilles heel, just about anywhere people could shoot him. So thanks, Foster, for taking that. Look, really, if you're here to make good money, then really you're looking to learn to become a savage crypto investor. And as savage crypto investor, you realize that tech companies, especially in the crypto space, they take longer to roll out what you want. And there's delays, there's setbacks, there's mistakes. That's all part of it. And if you're going to have a chance of making money at all, and realize most people don't do well in crypto. Most don't. That's like most people don't realize that that is the case, but that is the case because most don't have the patience to do well. So I'm just sitting here letting it play out. I see Foster and the team doing the things that are leading to the good things that it will do really well. Cool. And I'm just watching this play out, and I know what it adds up to and what it's coming to. I'm really excited for that. Thanks for joining us, Foster.
Awesome. Maybe Randy, do you want to go next, and we'll do Foster last?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for coming on. I look forward to many similar circumstances, whether on here or in the future. Definitely don't feel like you have to, because you have a lot of work going on. And obviously, as much as we love, as selfishly as we want to keep you here and, reminisce of the 4-hour podcast we used to do, but by all means, we know you have important work to do. And we know that if you're getting hundreds, if not thousands, of messages a day, and if you don't get back to people, that I'm not gonna say it's fine, just it's definitely 100% understandable given your workload. And I hope people recognize that Foster is sacrificing a lot by doing this. It's more time that he could spend with his family, more time that he could spend. He doesn't have to do this job. But I just want to, thanks for everything you do. It means a lot.
Awesome.
That just made me a little bit emotional, man. We're good. Regroup. No, it's family is it's really important to me. So it's but I really feel like this community, as dysfunctional as we are sometimes, really is an extended family, right? So it's it's been. Anyway, sorry, Jordan, if you wanted to say something, go ahead. But I appreciate.
Oh, well, just a big thank you for coming on, Foster. Like it's it's really great to have your thoughts on here, and you can see how much of the family love you. Like we've got so many good comments. There's a couple of people that want to throw random stabs out there. I don't really understand why they even bother. And I don't show some of their comments, and they're like, "Oh, he's not showing me." I'm like, "Of course I'm not. We're trying to respect Foster here. It's a great day for Ecomi. Why would we bother like dredging up things that are 3-4 years? You weren't even on the Veve Ecomi team at all in 3-4 years ago, but people bring up random things sometimes. Yeah, I saw Andre Jake just announced his gold silver logo in his new video. That's pretty awesome.
You're welcome.
He's a friend of yours. Foster, can you get him on this show sometime? That would be amazing if you can just
honestly, anything is possible, right? Like we'll definitely see, especially as the collectibles market starts to heat up again and stuff. I mean, he's always been a firm believer in the project, right? I mean, I consider him a friend, and obviously the last couple of years have been a little rough for him as well in the crypto space and with the markets as well. And he's received his fair share of arrows as well. And so, topics like this can often be volatile when things aren't going exactly how people want them to. But I think, anything is possible as things start to turn around. And it's been cool to watch him and people like Pro the Doge and stuff continue to collect behind the scenes and stuff, even if they don't advertise it all the time. I stay in contact with them, and they're still, bullish on the project, and even if they don't necessarily speak on it publicly, right? So I think that sometimes the loudest voices, which when things are not going well, tend to be the dissenting ones, skew the reality, which is we have a really fantastic community. Even when things aren't going well, there's tons of people that believe that the project will do well, but just don't feel the need to flaunt it and tell people, right? And they're also not the type of people that are going to say, "I told you so" when we get there. They're just going to enjoy the fact that we're there, and anyone else that either didn't see it or didn't want to be a part of it doesn't have to be, and that's perfectly okay. I would say for me, closing out, really appreciate everyone in the community and all the support as always. I do my best to get back to everyone that does message me, but as Randy said, there's only so many hours in a day, and I really do my best to give thoughtful responses to people. So if I don't get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. Feel free to tag me in something again, and I will do my best to answer everyone. And like I said, actions will speak for themselves. At the end of the day, I can tell you whatever I want to, but people are going to believe it when they see it. And so I'm really excited to be able to show people what we've been working on and what we want to deliver on for them. And as a friendly reminder, accessibility and utility are very important for the token and will continue to be very important for us throughout the rest of the year. I'll be excited to announce and roll out integrations of OMI to NFT. We have season 2 rewards coming out at some point as well. And it just feels like we're taking those steps in the right direction. So thank you all for bearing with us and sticking with us through this. I know it hasn't always been easy, but hopefully it'll have been worth it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned for next week. See you guys later.